Aini Yodi Moyim. I am overwhelmed with appreciation and the dedication and the preparation that every single loime took in order to reach today's goal and sit over here today and dedicate today's day to all the couples that are waiting to have a child of their own. Moirai v'Rabbi Sai, you have heard a little bit about a time today from a dear friend of mine, Rabbi Shulam. But what you heard from him today is heard in the Times office on a daily basis, not once, not twice, not 3 times, and not 5 times, and not 10 times a day. Couples calling in that need help and have nowhere to turn. And we try to help them in every aspect that we can. And by them seeing you coming out today and showing the support for them and learning for them and dedicating for them, there's no bigger chizik that these couples can receive. And for that I want to say Ashkoyach. I want to go into just a few details of what atime does and how atime helps and what services we provide to our couples in order to help them reach the goal to have their own bunim of naivunim. This past Yom Kippur, while everyone was sitting by the Seder, and everyone's kids were standing around the table waiting for the father to bench them, I received a call from a couple who was waiting 7 years for a child. And Baruch Hashem, they had the good news that they were expecting. They went to the doctor on Erev Yom Kippur, and they got the news, unfortunately, there's no heartbeat. My Yom Kippur was shattered, and I'm sure this couple's Yom Kippur was shattered. And when it came to the tefillah for Missiv, with the Kohen Gadol goes into Kodesh Kodeshim, in the Mispalel only 3 tefillahs. One of the tefillahs is Shletistapel Privitna. The pain what a couple feels, or when any person feels, and especially when they feel that they have to wait for 7 years, is mind-boggling. And what do you tell such a couple? Erev Yom Kippur. All I was able to tell them is, we'll wait until Yom Kippur came out on, I don't remember what day, the next day, that will take care of everything for them. One of the main services that atime does, that doesn't only reach infertility, but it reaches almost every aspect of life, is our pregnancy loss program, where we counsel the couples, we take care of Chevra Kedisha. I'm just going to share a little insight of where the program started and why the program started in regard to the Chevra Kedisha. Exactly 11 years ago this week, this past week, I was expecting our child. It was 2 days before the date. And we went to the doctor for a checkup, and there was no heartbeat. It turned over everything and anything. After 2 weeks, things started getting normal. and things started becoming back to natural. And I opened up the mail after 2 weeks, and I found a bill from the Chevra Kedisha for $830. I knew if my wife sees that, the 2 weeks are starting all over again. That night, my wife decided my suit wasn't clean enough. And she took out everything from my pocket. And she found that bill. And the 2 weeks repaid itself completely. And that's when I made up, and the board of atime, that we're going to start to pay for Chevra Kedisha. And we had a deal with every single Chevra Kedisha that we don't pay, we pay $500, and we take care of the Chevra Kedisha. Another of the programs that atime does was spoken about a little bit over here, is our shasathon. Our Shabbos is chaskes. Our Shabbos is chaskes is where the couples come and they tune out from the world. Our Shabbos is chaskes cost us about $160,000 for a 2-day event. And people ask, why do you spend so much money on a shasathon? You can make the same thing for $100,000 or even less. Everyone saw today what today's event looks like. This is what our shasathon looks like. There's no detail that is missed in order to give them the Shabbos of their life. A lot of these couples, for them this Shabbos is their Wachnach, their Bris, their Upscheren, their Bar Mitzvah, their Chasane, their Einiglich. This is their Simcha. And I think we owe them that much. One time a year to have a Shabbos that is their Shabbos. We had Rabbi Spiro speak by us once for Shabbos. And he walked in, Shabbos had Friday afternoon. And he came into the hall. And he saw 350 people all that don't have any children standing there. He went over to one of the couples. He says, I feel out of place. I feel I don't belong over here. The imam put his hands around Rabbi Spiro and said, that's what we feel like a whole year. Every service that atime does has a meaning behind it. And if you ask any couple that uses atime services, they will tell you there's not one service that's done extra that it's supposed to be done. We even go so far as to give out a magazine, even though today there's so many different magazines to read with different chizuk and yonam. But they should know that somebody cares for them. A special magazine just for them. We care for them. The magazine is for you. And it has over there the chizuk and yonam, and also has the medical. Another one of our main services that is not really spoken so much about, because in unit tznius, is the hashkacha that's done in all the centers. The hashkacha that's done in all the centers gives the peace of mind for every couple that the child that is born is 100% theirs, and there's no shala b'chlal and yichis, there's no shala whatsoever in any aspect in regard to the child. Besides that, everything that a yid uses, even water today has hashkacha. Is al achas kama v'kama. The hashkacha, to watch and make sure that everything is done 100%. There's nobody allowed into the laboratories besides the embryologist and the time mashkiach, which watches over everything. And then there's our helpline. Our helpline consists of two aspects. There's the helpline of the chizik, and then there's our main helpline, our most valuable helpline. Our helpline, which the couples don't move without, is our medical advisory, where they guide the couples on everything that the couple does from A to Z. Most couples don't move without going through the guidance. Is it easy through Harav Unga, our Dayan, who combines the chizik, who combines the halucha together with the medical? Or is it Rav Shaul? Or is it a Motchikenik? Or is the women that dedicate themselves night and day to help the couples? We get couples 2 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the morning. And they're there for them, and they guide them, and there's nothing that they say to them, I'm sorry, you called me at a wrong hour. They're there for them in every single way. Another one of our important services, which the Olam is not so familiar with, is our insurance advocacy. Our insurance advocacy saves from couples that go for treatment thousands upon thousands of dollars a week. We have 2 dedicated people that all they do is are in touch with the insurance companies to get the codes before the treatment. And if they didn't get the code before the treatment, they fight the claims afterwards. I got a call last week Friday from a couple that sent $17,000 on a treatment. They got back $17,103 they got back. And another one of our main services that we give out an enormous amount. I can't even put a value on it. If anyone comes up to the atime office and opens up the medication freezer, we'll see about $50,000 to $70,000 worth of medication there at a time. That couples come up to the office and they get without any questions asked. This is what atime is. Atime is there for them, and atime will always be for them. But now we have one thing more. We have a tzibur of 450 people in Gilad, Balabatim, Rabunim, that showed the couples that not only atime is there for them, but we are there for them as well. And for that I want to say thank you to each one. The Gemara says in Masechtes Chagigim, this week is Parshas Vayakail, the Parsha from Kuhail. It says in the Pusik, Anushim, Nushim, V'taf. Rashi brings down the Gemara and Chagigah, Dav Gimel and Medalef. Anushim Lama Buim. Answers the Gemara Lilmoid, what we did here today. Everyone came here to learn. Nushim Lama Buim. Why do the women come? Lishmaya, to hear what happened here today. But then the Gemara asked the question, Taf Lama Buim. How do we afford to have children? How do somebody that doesn't have children, how does he have the schis to have children? The Gemara answers, Litin schar lemeviyayim, to give schar to all the people over here that was zoichet to help us another person have a child. Just want to go for a moment, and then I'll finish with a vort what I heard from Rabbi Rosen. I heard this vort from Rabbi Aaron Tversky once, and I repeat it as many times as I can. There's a medrash in Parshas Lech Lechu. The medrash says there's the first Nisayan and the last Nisayan of Avram Avini. The first Nisayan was Lech Lechu Ma'atzechu. The last Nisayan was Kachnu es Binchu es Yichitchu Asheru Haftu. The medrash asked the question, which Nisayan is harder? What's the question? Everyone knows the answer. Kachnu es Binchu es Yichitchu. Of Lech Lechu it says Lahani Yoschu Tevoschu. What better brucha can you have? So he said Pshat is, and listen clearly what he said. He says, Lech lechu ma'atzechu u'meladetechu me'baisavichu. Avram was 75 years old then. Avram Avinu had a lifetime of work that he accomplished. And the Hashem told him, forget about it. It doesn't exist anymore. You're starting fresh. Give up everything that you worked for until now. Hashem said to Avram Avinu, Kachnu es bindchu es yichitchu asher uhavtu. You end over here. You don't have any future. The Medrash wants asking, what's harder? To give up a lifetime of work, or to know that you don't have who to give it over to? And the Medrash answers that everyone will be willing to give everything that they own to be able to have who to give over. And Kachnu is a big nesoyan. Chazal say, "V'bnai ma'al hoyu im esayni akurais, v'bnai shakudish buruch im esavel et filusan shel tzadikim." So Rabbi Rosen asked a question. We're just speaking about these couples. These couples are Shavir alive. The Gemara says the Chushav Kemes. They're throwing themselves for Yesirim. This is the tefillah that Hashem is waiting for. And that's why he makes them akuros. As HaKadosh Baruch Hu mesavel et filus on this tefillah he's waiting for. So he answers so nicely. He says when someone has a child, after 9 months, or even after a year, he says Ashkoyach zum Eibishten. But if somebody waits 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years and has a child, the shevach whatever he gives to the Eibishter at that moment, that's the tefillah that he's waiting for. Hashem wants everyone to appreciate what he's giving them. And that's what he wants from his tefillah, tzadikim, that he wants them to honor him and say thank you to him. B'chol laiv v'chol nefesh. And that's what I want to do here tonight. I want to thank everybody over here. B'chol laiv v'chol nefesh. And I can add the v'chol meyoidoi for helping out this organization. Or Ramatasui said, this movement. And helping us help these couples. I just want to take one moment to thank an individual that gave new life into this organization by calling me up and reaching out to me that he wants to be part of this organization, wants to help. If everyone can give a round of applause for Moshe Fisher.